Good morning. It is great to be here today and to have absorbed such a beautiful service. Through the Right Relations work that's been done this year, we've learned some valuable things, and I'm here to share a few of them with you this morning. As a reminder, our Right Relations Phase 1 team was charged by the board with conducting research to inform our way forward. To that end, we conducted interviews with other congregations, a research through the UUA resources and district leadership, and we conducted focus groups, meetings, a survey, and interviews in our own congregation. Here are 4 key learnings. First, it became clear to us that there is no single roadmap for us to follow into right relational bliss, not from the UUA or from any other congregation. However, there are some good models and methodologies for us to draw on as we carve our West Side path. Some consistent elements that we saw from other congregations and that were emphasized by our own members include the importance of trust building for right relations work to be effective. Just forming a team and putting them out there to resolve conflicts has not proven to be a successful model. Another consistent element is the importance of inclusiveness and how right relations work can intersect with racial justice work. Also, the importance of holding the joys and sorrows of all our members. And the importance of inviting conflict and diverse perspectives to be part of our congregational life in a healthy way. We know that often these kinds of statements may sound reasonable to all of us, but that tensions can rise in how we live these agreements, which leads to our second key finding. That this right relations path is really the work of being a healthy congregation, and it's work that necessarily connects to and impacts all areas of our congregational life. That whole idea is in contrast to the way that right relations work has typically shown up in our congregation and in many others. For example, in our congregation, our longtime Congregational Concerns Committee had the function of responding when called on to mediate and to help resolve conflicts when they arose, and to do so without training or clear methods to fulfill their roles. We are grateful to all who have served in that capacity, and we are learning some ways to reimagine the vital role of a right relations or healthy congregation team. Most of the right relations work in UU congregations has been focused on reactive, restorative processes. A primary function of our right relations work should be proactive to reduce the need for that restorative function. A third learning is that one of the greatest failures of congregations seem to experience around right relations is the failure to live the covenant. As Reverend Christopher shared, the covenant is so much more than words on a page that we've agreed to. We need to bring it to life with intentionality in all our activities, and through renewing that commitment as we change and grow over time. And most importantly, to learn how to hold the responsibility of our covenant as a congregation. The congregation owns our covenant, the whole of us, our promises to one another. It's not just the board, the minister, or any specific team, but the whole of us collectively. As we have learned from our UU youth community, this collective ownership can be powerful. And finally, a fourth element that we've learned came particularly from other local congregations who have recently reinvented their right relations initiatives. And that's that this work is not necessarily about harmony or being nice and conflict-free, but rather that conflict is generative and creative and important, and it can be handled constructively and with kindness. Conflict is inevitable, but not unsurmountable, said one of our members. And as we open our circles more and more, like croissants and Robbie's rule, our community and our culture will shift in new ways. So we need our vibrant covenant and our healthy pathways for respectfully and lovingly holding space for healing, for listening to understand one another, and for reconciling and restoring. So with that backdrop, what comes next? The Phase 1 team has recommended to the board and Reverend Christopher that the next church year, starting in September, be focused on renewing our covenant with one another, hopefully with some in-person connection along with our online options. This congregation-wide process will include Reverend Christopher's vision and leadership, education for all of us, and the formation of a Phase 2 covenant renewal team. From the internal input we received, we recommend that this team guide us in examining our existing covenant of right relations, formed in 2007, to determine how it works or doesn't, and to bring it to life in a meaningful way for our current community. This is necessary congregation-wide work. This important work needs to be completed before we can engage a right relations team in any role of proactively supporting the congregation in living our covenant. We also recommend that 2 teams be formed in the following 2022-23 church year. A strategic planning team to guide us in reimagining systemic aspects of our community that will help to strengthen our congregational health and our right relations efforts, including governance and equity work. And also a Phase 3 right relations team that will guide us in living our covenant with love and congregational health. Our Right Relations report related to these findings and recommendations will be available through our WSUU website and through the Westside Week this month. It has been a pleasure for Liz Berggren, Cindy Jackson, and I to serve in this capacity this year. Please reach out to any of us with questions or for further conversation. This quote stands out from our focus groups. "It is an act of love to keep coming together despite hardship and turmoil." And so it is.